Good morning, everyone. It's still morning, or it's good afternoon, one past. Hey, how are you guys? Good, good. Yeah, I see. I see. Hey, how are you? Okay. Today we have like 20 minutes, so I'll be very quick about the topic, but the topic is very, very important. TDD, this is not about test-driven development this time. This is about trust-driven development. And I would like to tell you today why trust is so crucial in software development and in an agile world, in the sense of life in the company and engineering. So without any further ado, before we jump into trust, I would like to ask you, have you heard anything about this acronym, VUCA? Anyone? Yes, a lot of people. Actually, that's funny because today I had a talk on the Java conference as well, and Java audience, they pretty much didn't hear about VUCA, and here I see that Agile World, you guys hear about VUCA, which is great. I like it. So I don't need to explain this acronym. This is basically about our nowadays world. We are experiencing a lot of different difficult situations, ambiguous world, very volatile world. So this is all about our environment. And there's another acronym which I actually came up with, MUCA. This is about our agile environment. So we have dynamic market. Every day, many startups popping up, the other startups closing down. So our business market is very, very dynamic. The other thing, unknown requirements. I would love to ask you if you had a meeting with the business and they show up and say, hey, we would like to develop the product, but we don't know what will be inside. Tell us. Any of you had this situation? Yes, a lot, right? And actually, nowadays in Agile world, that's what we need to do. We need to respond to client needs, even if we don't, if the client doesn't know what to do. They just would like to earn money at the end, right? About the complex problems, we are here, we are engineers, we are agilists to solve complex problems, process problems and software problems. Everything is in our domain complex. And last but not least, and I think that should be the first one, ambiguous estimations. So at the same time, once clients ask us, hey, could you develop something and we don't know yet what, they ask, and how much money it will cost, right? So that's the challenge that we are facing. Why I'm telling you that? Because VUCA is the environment all over the world. MUCA is more in software development industry, and Agile is response to this environment. So Agile Manifesto tells us how to behave, what's important for us. Obviously, we all know, I guess, the Agile Manifesto. And today I would like to focus on the left-hand side, which is here, the first point, individuals and interactions. So we need trust to interact. Do you agree? More or less. We need trust to connect to each other. We need to build relationships. We need to build trust. To collaborate with the customer, they need to trust us that we will not cheat them, that we will do our best, that we don't need to have full contract. I mean, every corner case described in the contract. We are with a collaboration attitude instead of just business-to-business attitude. Responding to change, that's the interesting one, because we need to respond to the change, we need to have the trust to ourselves. So me as a human being, I need to trust myself that if the situation is changed, I will be not sticking into the status quo, but I will be adjusting myself. I'll be agile, let's say that way. And at the end, we would like to produce the working software. So that's why the trust is important for those aspects. So now it's more engineering part. As I was, I am engineer still in heart. So how trust is built? There are two pillars or two aspects of trust. One is the cognitive aspect of trust, and the other is the emotional aspect of trust. Cognitive aspect of trust is transmitted through thinking. So everything that when we discuss the challenges, the technical challenges, our brain subconsciously assess the situation. Okay, do I trust this person? He or she can work with me on this project. And emotional aspects is transmitted through feeling. Again, subconsciously, but not on the brain even level, but on the feelings level. Do I feel that I'm safe here? Do I feel that we can build relationships? Do I feel that I can trust you? So cognitive aspect of trust is transmitted through skills, knowledge. I mean, not transmitted, but it's showed during showing your skills, showing your knowledge, showing your experience, and delivering the results. So that's always the case, or usually the case with the business stakeholders. They look on us and say, do I trust this team? Do I trust this person that he or she will deliver something to me? So that's the first aspect. And the other aspect is more about our intentions, our openness, if we are open to people, if we are honest with people. And if we are, we say that this person is in integrity state. So those two pillars need to come together. If we have just emotional aspects that we feel we can trust this person personally, but this person doesn't deliver results, that's difficult to cooperate, right, in a business context, in the agile context. And vice versa, the same. So basically, long story short, summarizing competence and character. That's the two main pillars to the main aspect of trust. So we need to have cognitive intelligence, everything connected with the analysis, with the logic, with the language we use. For example, in agile world, we use specific language, right, that sometimes business doesn't understand. And they ask something like, what the hell is this retrospective? Why do you need 2 hours or 4 hours for this? I pay for that, right? So that's the challenge we have. But if they understand what the retrospective is, and we explain them what's the benefit for the business, then they can agree that this is important. Also about the data, we are talking a lot about data and data science. Every decision should be based on data, ideally, obviously. So that's this intelligence. And the other emotional intelligence, the other aspect is about emotional intelligence, and I would like to focus more on the examples here. Because this is about recognition of our own mood and our own emotions. If we go to the meeting, to the retrospective, if we have this example, we need to understand how we feel, because we can be in the state that we influence other people in the team, and for example, retrospective doesn't go well because of that. But also we should recognize, understand, and manage emotions of others. And you, as agile people, you know it the best, leading the meetings like planning, review, retrospective. You need to manage emotions of others, do you? Is anyone here who consciously manage emotions of the group in the process? Yes, I see 1, 2, 3 people, yes. That's why we learn about group process and forming of the team, basically to be aware and manage different state that people can be. But at the end of the day, we just need to, this is just, but this is not so easy, especially for technology world, to embrace emotions. Because emotions is like just the data. They give us the information in which state this person is right now. And actually it turns out that this is one of the prerequisites to break the silos in the companies. Because when we see on the DevOps ecosystem, we see a lot of various tools. You may recognize some of them, Docker, Puppet, and so on. Developers are keen on introducing those tools, but the question is, what happened on the organizational level within the organization? It happens like this, that there are some domains. There is a domain of building software, there is the domain of testing software, and so on. And obviously, our end goal, or most of us would like to have cross-functional teams, meaning that building and testing and deploying potentially is within the capabilities of and the skills are within the team. But the thing is that even if it's within the teams, there can be a silos of the teams. On this example, I have like waterfallish silos, so the teams paying attention on the building, then teams paying attention on the QA stuff. This is more typical right now to break the silos between development and QAs, right? That we do have some QAs embedded in the teams, which is good. The story starts with the DevOps movement, right? About the deploying, running, monitoring. So DevOps movement is not about, buzzwords, or it's not about, it is about the tools, but behind those tools, it is about the cooperation between guys who run the application and guys who develop the application. And again, if those both two groups will be trusting each other, they will cooperate more. So trust can break those barriers. And then the ideal state is to have the goal and the mission, which is the common for all people, and we have one happy family that trusts each other and build software together. Obviously, that's the ideal state. It is how it is. We know that we face the challenges, but I think that's good that we face the challenges because we can have some lessons learned in the organization. And that's how the autonomy starts. I will not spoiler my other talk about autonomy, but autonomy starts with trust. Here you can see the example from the DevOps enterprise model, evolution model. I guess for you it's obvious that individuals could do work without many approvals from outside the team is considered as autonomous. And that's the stage, that's the actually third stage of the 5 stages. You don't need to go through all of them. I just wanted to reinforce that this process, the CI/CD pipeline, without going to product owner and say, yes, this user story can be deployed. It is about trust at the end of the day, right? Any of you have this process which is almost fully automated and almost shiny and ready, but there is some person at the end that needs to push the button, approve, not approve? Exactly, yeah. And that's because of trust, right? That's because of security as well. But in the ideal world, we would like to get rid of this approval at the end. And that's where I would like to introduce Brene Brown to you. Any of you know Brene Brown? Yes, obviously agile people, right? You know it. In the Java conference, just to lay this new Brene here, I see that most of you know. Brene is an American psychologist, and she talks a lot and did a research a lot about being brave, about shame, about trust, about vulnerability, a lot of stuff connected with our emotions and our states. And why I bring her to the topic today, because she said that trust is not being built in the big moments, it's built in the tiny moments every day. And that's crucial in our development process. When we have developers working together, or even business people working together, there are a lot of small moments that they can build trust. Let's see, for example, a new joiner is coming to the team, right? And there is a person who is in the team. And from the day one, subconsciously, this person in the team looks after, but also assess the new joiner. Does he or she develop the code better than me or worse than me? There are a lot of subconscious decisions, and every day there is a decision in our brain, or every tiny moments. That's how our brain works. And at the end, if our brain assesses those 2 pillars, observing the person, that yes, we can finally trust each other, we can build a connection. If there is a break in this process, the connection is broken. So that's the tiny moments that Brene was talking about. And as we are on AgileByExample, I would like to give you example more for pair programming and code review perspective. But I think that it is very important for you as agile people to understand the process. So pair programming process is the process of being assessed, right? We are sitting in front of each other or side by side and developing the software together. But what happens if there is a junior developer and senior developer, and junior developer writes a code and thinks, maybe my code is not so shiny, and maybe I need to do it better. I'm afraid of this process, maybe I will skip that one. And it can go vice versa. So senior developer can write a code and say, I'm supposed to be a senior guy, but I'm afraid that my code is actually not so good, and this junior guy will understand that, will observe that, and that's the fear of rejection. When we have the fear of rejection, it means that we can't work effectively. And the same with the code review. When we have code review and pull requests, and we are sending our code to be reviewed, I saw the example when two guys were sitting side by side, and during 1 week they exchanged 100 comments in the pull requests, not speaking to each other. But yeah, I see that this is common pattern. A couple of people also saw that. Exactly. And that's the challenge, because we are not ready to say that this code, we assessing the code, but people think about we assessing authors of the code. And there is an ego involved. And that's why this process is not effective. So trust is difficult in that situation to build. But what we can do, and what's the answer, what Brene Brown gives the answer, is this vulnerability. So we need to be vulnerable, meaning we need to show our weaknesses, admitting that yes, maybe today my code is not the best one, maybe I had the bad night, or I have the difficult situation today. This is not about me, this is about the code. I show this slide to the development engineers, but I will tell you as well. Any of you have heard about vulnerability from the IT perspective? Yes, some people. So even we have vulnerability engineers in IT, right? It's people who are searching for weaknesses in the system which could be exploited. I'm not talking about this vulnerability, I'm talking more about human vulnerability that Brene mentioned. So the willingness to show emotions, our state, and the weaknesses to be seen. Why it's important? Because when we are not afraid of our weaknesses, we can raise our creativity by sharing the ideas, and we are not afraid that someone will judge us, right? So this is all about feeling safe. And this is important because it does influence the productivity and creativity of the business. Yeah, the question is, if we need to be vulnerable to do Scrum, for example, when we have those ceremonies and the events, obviously we do, for example, retrospectives. I guess you saw the retrospectives which in theory went well, everything was fine, there was some post-its. Most of the post-its were what went well, or vice versa. Most of the post-its were on the side, or should we improve? But people just raise it, put the post-its, and then they were afraid, at least I saw these examples, a lot of them in the past, they were afraid to talk about it. So there are two states. Either people are very happy and don't think about improvements because they are afraid of talking about challenges. On vice versa, they have this attitude of complaining for everyone else outside of the team, the process, company, blame everyone, but not thinking about themselves itself. And that's where the vulnerability is needed, and when we need to admit that we have some weaknesses, and that's not bad. We just need to talk about it. This is my beloved example about the metrics. Some people say, give me your metrics and I will tell you whatever you want to hear. Do you have this experience? Yes, two hands up, right. How it works? There are a lot of metrics, right? I put the DORA metrics. So let's say deployment frequency. What's the example of deployment frequency? How to work around deployment frequency? Any suggestions? I can tell you, if the company goal is to have very frequent releases, and the team who has the most frequent releases gets a bonus, people will be deploying, one line of the code to have the statistic in Jira up, right? With the lead time for changes, similar thing. If we need to shorten the lead time for changes, people will be creating smaller user stories. And obviously that's good, that we will have smaller user stories in the process. But there need to be a common sense. We can't just have the user story, which is 5 minutes, just because we would like to have lead time for changes very short. With the meantime, to recover, that's interesting topic as well, because I saw teams, talking about the examples, I saw teams who had defined recovery differently. So what does it mean? Recovery means that it is recovered on production and working for the clients. Or maybe some people that I work with said that it is recovered working on production, but with a feature flag saying that it's not visible to the clients, right? Or it is fixed on production, but not real production, but the pre-production environment, which is obviously like production, but this is not the production, right? And that's how the people can make up the data. With the change failure rate, though, I didn't see, and I don't know the example how to cheat on change failure rate. So if only you have any ideas, share with me after the talk. And then we are becoming to this trust, one more time, trust builds relationships. And if we have relationships, we can build our software better. We can have the connections inside the team, we can have a trust, and then that's how we can belong. And the belonging, it sounds obvious, but belonging improves the productivity of the team. Because if he or she, the person, the individual, takes care of the product because he or she feels like he belongs to this product, this is his or her baby, the quality obviously and the creativity will go up. So at the end, I would like to leave with this quotation, this time from Simon Sinek, that team is not a group of people working together. Team is a group of people who trust each other. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomek. We have some questions.
We have questions, okay.
So yeah, they're looking very interesting. So first one, Tomek, do you really believe you can manage somebody's emotions? Because you can try to manage behaviors, but managing emotions, is it possible?
Yes. I'm not talking about managing emotions, that was a shortcut maybe. I'm talking about managing the situation that people are in, the emotions. So for example, when someone is in a bad mood, understanding that and saying, hey, how about postponing this meeting for tomorrow? And not saying, I feel you are angry to me or something, but understand that, yes, we can postpone this meeting. So I'm talking about that in terms of managing. Obviously, there is another level of it, which is saying about how I feel. I feel that I'm anxious because of the situation. And you are talking about yourself, so that's how you can give people information that these emotions that someone has influence you.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So another question, it's two parts, but I guess you already answered the first one, so that, isn't managing emotions equal to manipulation?
Yes, so exactly. That was a shortcut. I'm not talking about manipulations. I'm not talking about managing other emotions. I'm talking about managing the situations and ourselves in the emotions of others. Yeah. Okay,
so thank you for clarifying. And maybe one last question before the lunch break, which is also interesting. It's about developers. So do you think the juniors or students who join the setup, how can they gain trust from the more experienced developers? Because I guess Anita asks that might be a problem. So what would you recommend?
Right. At the beginning, I would say that for the students, particularly for the students, we need to give them the credit. So if they are students, they didn't do anything before, I mean, they didn't work anywhere, so we need to be the ones giving them credit. I trust you, whatever you do. And then, obviously, after some period of time, check if they are delivering on those credits. But if we are talking about junior developers who already worked somewhere and joining the company, it's about delivering very small, quick results, even if the first week, right? We have some companies that have the goal, I think Google has this goal, that first week you need to deliver your first commit, and that's the easy easy thing to check.
Okay. I guess it's easy if setting up the environment and like getting access doesn't take 2 weeks.
Yes, I can imagine, exactly.
Okay, so guys, if you have any more questions to Tomasz, will you be around?
Yes, definitely, I will be around. Would love to chat to you, and thanks for the questions because they were really great.